Good morning, C3. Merry Christmas from the Redmond family. I know we're home today celebrating the birth of Jesus, but I wanted to share a few moments with you and share some thoughts that maybe you never considered when thinking about the birth of Jesus. Now, think about that moment. It's a rather remarkable moment. In one single instant, God made himself breakable. He who had been spirit made himself pierceable. God became a man. While the creatures of the earth walked unaware, heaven opened herself and placed her most precious one in a human womb. Think about this. Sometimes it's hard to believe. He who was larger than the universe became an embryo. God as a fetus. Yes, God as a fetus. Now picture this, holiness sleeping in a womb, the creator of life being created. God was given, think about it, eyebrows, elbows, 2 kidneys, and a spleen. He stretched against the walls and floated in the amniotic fluids of his mother. God had come near. He came not as a flash of light or as an unapproachable conqueror, but as one whose first cries were heard by a peasant girl and a sleepy carpenter. Now think about this. The hands that held him were unmanicured, calloused, and maybe even a little dirty. No silk, no ivory, no hype, no party. Shall we say no hoopla? Were it not for the shepherds, there would have been no reception. And were it not for a group of stargazers, there probably would have been no gifts. And that's certainly something I wouldn't have enjoyed. Angels watched as Mary changed God's first diaper. The universe watched with wonder as the Almighty learned to walk. Children played in the street with him, and the synagogue leaders listened to his sermons. Jesus may have had, pimples. He may have been tone deaf. Perhaps a girl down the street had a crush on him, or vice versa. It could be that his knees were in fact bony. One thing is for sure, he was, while completely divine, he was completely human. Now, picture this. For 33 years, he would feel everything that you and I felt. That's right, everything. He felt weak. He probably grew weary. He was afraid of failure. He may have even gotten, colds. Did he burp? Did he have body odor? Did his feelings get hurt? Yep, his feelings may have gotten hurt. His feet, I'm sure, got tired, and his head probably ached a lot. To think of Jesus in such a light as well, does it seem almost, irreverent or something? Doesn't it? It's not something we like to do, I think, when we talk about the Christmas story. In fact, it might be a little uncomfortable. It's much easier to keep the humanity out of the incarnation, clean the manure from around the manger, if you will. Wipe the sweat out of the eyes, pretend he never snored, or blew his nose, or hit his thumb with a hammer. He's easier to stomach that way, let's just be honest. But there is something about keeping him divine that keeps him distant, maybe packaged and predictable. But can I say this? For heaven's sake, don't do that today. Let him be as human as he intended to be. Let him into the mire and muck of our world, and specifically our lives. For only if you let him in can he pull us out. And do this too. Listen to him. Think about it. Listen to him. He said things like this: love your neighbor. That was spoken by a man whose neighbors tried to kill him. Then there's the challenge that he had to face, one that all of us do, and that is to leave family for the gospel. And think about this. It was issued by the one who kissed his mother goodbye in the doorway, something I know very well. And he also said this: pray for those who persecute you. It came from the lips from one who would soon be begging God, that's right, begging God to forgive his murderers. He said this: I'm with you always, are the words of a God who in one instant did the impossible, are the words of a God. So let me say that again. In one instant, he did the impossible to make it all possible for you and for me. That's what is such a blessing today, this Christmas. It all happened in a moment. Think about it, in one moment, a most remarkable moment. Never forget this. The Word became flesh. One moment is all the time it took to change the world forever. You know what? That's why we say Merry Christmas. And so we will. This is Tom, and on behalf of my wife, Michelle, and the entire Redmond family, Merry Christmas, C3. God bless you and Happy New Year.